Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Jacques Mistral. I'm an economy teacher. I'm responsible for economic questions at IFRI. It is a pleasure and an honor for me to open the second session, plenary session, that the organizers have asked us to moderate with Javier Vidal-Folk, who works for El País. As you will have seen, this session will be on global monetary and financial governance, just like the previous session, just to show you the interest that this theme arouses for all participants. By way of an introduction, let me briefly explain what we're going to deal with. After the financial crisis, governments were swift to react. They were innovative and created a G20 2 years ago. The G20 is a framework that allows to adopt and elaborate in a very quick manner new legislations, new ways of taking decisions that are quite different from the rules that applied before, thus allowing to avoid an extremely dangerous new recession. The G20, both in Washington and in London, launched a financial reform agenda to make sure the root causes of the problem would be dealt with as well. The G20 also helps avoid the bigger than your neighbor policies, which led to a worsening of the recession in the 30s. So 2 years after the creation of the G20, after London, Pittsburgh and Toronto, we're about to meet in Seoul in a few weeks' time, in 3 weeks' time more precisely. So what's the financial governance like today? Regarding what's been done, let me mention the adoption of adapted macroeconomic policies. We know that the situation is more difficult than it was today. There are discussions on whether we should fear inflation or deflation. Should we immediately adopt drastic policies, etc.? This is the first series of questions that are being raised. What we call sometimes exit strategies. Then there's the financial reform. Different viewpoints have been expressed on that. I would summarize it saying that substantial progress was made. We have the Basel III agreements that will be put to leaders in November. There are new bodies to manage systemic risks that were created in Europe and in the States, but I mean, these are progress, that's right, but there remain very tricky issues to deal with, like the too big to fail international financial institutions. And then there's the global imbalances problem. This is something that's been on our mind for years, and it's been dealt with in the G20 communiques in a shy manner, if I may say. Global imbalances, exchange rates. This is an issue that the public's been focusing on for a few weeks, and we've heard things like war of currencies. These are phrases that remind us of quite nasty memories. So this is what's been done so far. As a conclusion, I would say that Europe has a great clout in this. We've seen the problems related to insufficient management of European institutions and the systemic effects it could have. So the question of European governance is part and parcel of this global governance discussion. And then the President of the French Republic a few weeks ago declared that the G20 in global governance was a bifurcation. Either it would turn into a crisis management tool and that would be used only in case of a new major crisis, or it could progressively turn into a real body to improve global governance. That's what we're going to discuss today with this remarkable panel that we have with us. Let me give the floor to Javier to introduce our panelists.
Merci Jacques.
Thank you, Jacques. It is an important issue we're dealing with, an urgent one as well. We just talked about a war of currencies, and as we said, we have an exceptional panel with us today. Our three panelists are great travelers, but they all live on 3 different continents. One lives in Washington, the other one in Tokyo, and the last one in Frankfurt. So this should allow us to go on an interesting trip to see what's happening on those 3 continents. Let me add that we have great expectations from our panelists. They will all be given 10 minutes each, and then we'll launch a discussion. Let me stress that we expect a lot from them, not just regarding what's been happening in the past years, but we would like to know what they think we should do from now on. True enough, there's been a real big bang in the world of financial reform, like in July in the States. There's been an accumulation of novel initiatives, and new European legislation was adopted, like the one on financial supervision. We have Joaquim Almunia with us today, the father of that revolution, if I may say, but there's still a lot to do. And we need new ideas to reach our goals. Let me introduce you our 3 panelists. First of all, Kamel Darvis. He was an MP in the Turkish Republic. He was Minister in charge of Economy. After that, he became Vice President of the World Bank. He also led the development program, the United Nations. He is now Vice President for Global Economy and Development at the Brookings Institution, that everyone knows well. Second, we'll move to Asia and to Japan. And it is a pleasure for us to have with us today Mr. Haruhiko Kuroda, who's president of the Asian Development Bank. He's a former special advisor to the cabinet of Japanese Prime Minister Koizumi. He's a professor at Hirochubashi University in Tokyo. He was also Vice Finance Minister for International Affairs. And last but not least, Mr. Jean-Claude Trichet, who's President of the European Central Bank. He was President of the European Monetary Committee. He was governor of the Bank of France. He was president of the Club of Paris and governor of the World Bank. and he's been at the European Central Bank since 2003. And we are really looking forward to hearing him. Thank you very much.